So welcome to those of you who are at home. You can sit, you don't have to. We met yesterday to go over the class syllabus and talk about kind of our expectations and things like that. And we recorded it and I will upload it later today. But today's class, so the class, this is the first time we've done this, by the way. So those of you who were here last semester, we're doing it a little differently. On Thursday afternoons, we're going to have our lectures. And in that, we're going to talk about equipment and theories and all of that. There'll be time set aside for that. And then Fridays are going to be the more flexible day. It's going to be when we shoot our projects. And we realize that not everyone can come to every shoot, and that those who even come might not be able to be there the whole time. You have jobs and lives and partners and families and things. So we hope you can come to as much as you can, because Tim and I really believe that you get more out of it if you can be on set. And now we're going to do as much as we can to help those of you who are at home who are taking the class asynchronously by shooting BTS, and Tim's going to narrate it and talk about all the things. And in some ways that can be really beneficial, because Tim can break down, he listens and when they talk about things that we're doing, he can explain why. And so in some ways it can be really good. But I also don't think that you learn equipment on video as well as you do by handling it, by sitting in front of the F8 and adjusting audio levels, going through the menu and figuring out how to jam audio, or handling a boom, or working with Jason or Marty on making a lens swap, or all the different things that have to be done for every shoot that we do this semester. So when you can, even if it's just once, try to come to the productions. They're fun, you'll learn a lot, and it's special because most schools don't do what we do here. So take advantage as much as you possibly can. So we did that and talked about those things yesterday in our first Zoom session. Today's more of a pitch day. Today's we're going to talk about the projects. Now, if you haven't gotten the handout, I've got them to give to you. At home, if you look under week 1, it's the film production schedule. And I update this regularly, because you'll see a lot of to be announced or to be determined, or I have projects, but I haven't put locations or times yet because we don't know that. The first project is Jason's Unforeseen. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Jason's going to talk more about it, but there's a time that elapses in the story. And so the actor currently has some facial hair. And so we want to shoot that first so he looks older. Then we're going to have him shave and shoot that later. So we have to shoot it out of order to get what we need. So the last scene of the film we have to shoot first. The last scene is an exterior shot. It's shot at the beach, and I'm worried about weather. So my daughter, she's a trader. She goes to West Valley, but she's playing volleyball right now, beach volleyball, and they're playing in the rain. And my wife just texted me, it's pouring and it's freezing out here, and I feel sorry for them. But you never know about weather. The app said it was supposed to be sunny and a beautiful day, and it's pouring. So we're gonna have to deal with that. We're supposed to shoot a sunset scene, so even if it's not raining, if there's cloud cover, we might not get it.
Get some it rains the day later, so we get like an orange tint to the clouds. That would be really cool.
Yeah, if there are clouds in the sky, but it's not blocking the sun, you get the most spectacular sunset. So, and there's the magic hour. And it's a short period of, a short window when the lighting is perfect. You don't have to do anything. Everything just looks beautiful
I
and
looked up when the sundown is, and it's 5:50. No, 5:45.
we want to be shooting well before that and ready, because that can slip away very quickly. And so anyways, we don't have times and schedules. So one of the things that we're gonna do is today is we're gonna talk about projects, some of the issues, we're gonna pitch ideas, and we're gonna try to make a whole, I'm gonna take notes, and we're gonna make a bunch of additions and adds to this schedule. And then if you always see it, does anyone missing one? Anyone need a schedule? You get one? Up here, you don't need one in front of you.
Thanks for giving your notes.
What?
You gave me your notes.
Give them back, man. Jeez. Oh, this was for a meeting. The other thing, I apologize, I had intended to have bagels here this morning, so we could eat and have fun. I had a department meeting that started at 8 and it was supposed to end at 10:30, and I just ran up. There were people out here waiting in the cold. I apologize. But I was hoping this would be more of a social fun thing. But anyways, let's get started. Is there any questions? Oh. Yes, Tim wants those people who are pitching to be on camera. So either Jason and I will move the camera so that not only those of you who are in the room can hear the pitches, but also those people who are at home. So let's go with the stories that we know for sure, and then we'll move on. I will talk on behalf of some of the films or the directors if they're not here. But first is Jason's film. So that is Jason Mattingly. He is kind of our red expert, acts as our DP, but he also loves making horror films. And I said, enough is enough. You killed enough
But
people.
Grant, just one more.
On your own time. But he's doing the first scene on the schedule, Unforeseen. And why don't you talk about the different scenes and
Yeah, so Grant wrote this. This was a really good script when he told me. I just connected with it. It reminded me of like 50/50, or also like Juno, like a mixture between those. So it starts off with a couple, the husband or at the time turns into fiance, proposes on the beach. And so flash forward a little bit scene later, and they're still having doubts about it. And so probably about a couple weeks later,
fiance?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if I want to do like as fiance, or do we have like a flash forward of like 8 months or something like that, of like to be wife, like they're married or something like that. But she wakes up and she has morning sickness, and so turns out she's pregnant. And so flash forward another scene, she's a couple months pregnant, and she starts having pain, and thinking that it's related to the pregnancy, she gets her tests back and she turns out she has cancer.
So a couple things. let's talk about, you're flying through these.
Yeah,
The first scene is on a beach at sunset.
Yep.
That's the proposal. The next scene is the two of them in bed and she wakes up and gets up and goes into the bathroom.
Yep.
And then she has this discovery, and this is an acting of,
Yep.
of chance where she's alone in the bedroom, in the bathroom, so she's not talking, but she suddenly realizes, oh, I might be pregnant, and
Yep.
she takes a pregnancy test. Then she's back in the bed with her partner, and I don't know whether it's just determined whether they're married or not, or just
Yeah.
before they're married. But she then breaks the news to him that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And then the third scene where she starts to have pain is in a laundry room. She's doing laundry.
yeah,
And then the next scene, she's in a doctor's office with the doctor.
Yeah.
So
and then wrapping it up, the last scene is 6 years later, and so it doesn't. We're hoping to have the audience be like, oh, she died. She risked herself to save the baby. And
so the first thing you see is the dad with the daughter
Yeah.
who's now 6.
Yeah.
And we commandeered Tim's daughter, who's the cutest little thing you've ever seen. She's playing the part.
yeah,
And just the dad and the daughter are
Mhm.
walking alone on the beach.
yeah. So they're sad. There's some dialogue of the daughter saying, "I miss mom," and so turns out Emily, that's the main character, ends up walking and saying, "Hi guys," and she's looks like she's gone through chemo, and she says that today was a good day, and so it just leaves off at that and says group hug.
So if Jason can't scare the crap out of you, he wants to make you cry. So hopefully it'll be a very romantic proposal, and then this couple very much in love is now gonna have a baby and they're very excited. Then you find out, oh, something bad's gonna happen because she's feeling the pain and goes to the doctor, which is scary for a mother to the chance of losing a child. And then there's a scene when she gets the news from the doctor that she has stage 4 non-lymphoma or
Lymphoma.
non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is one of the, take my word for it, my wife deals with cancer patients.
Oh.
And it's one of the bad ones. So it's bad news.
Yeah.
And then it cuts from that to the dad alone with the child on the beach, and little bitty Everly, I miss mommy. And so hopefully people are going to be bawling. And then in walks mom, and she has a bandana covering her hair, so she looks like she could have been, had chemo or whatever, but good news. And so it's a big happy.
Yeah. Found a very iconic song too.
Yeah.
That might hit very well at the end. So do we say it, Grant?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Well, so do you know Coldplay Yellow? Yeah, I found how I can get that license. There you go.
So don't be friends with Jason because he's just gonna want to scare you or make you cry. But anyways, that's our first film. And we're doing this in a weird way. Jason's got his screenplay, it's done, and
I got my shot list done too.
What?
Shot list is done too.
Yeah, and so he's prepared. So he's going first. He'll model this for you. We're actually going to shoot the laundry room scene next Friday. So it's going to be a very short scene. It'll probably be about an hour of filming. We're going to shoot at my home. I can give you that address. It's 2435. I'll put it in the schedule. Oh, hey, there's Everly, if you can see the chat, there's, she's so cute. 2435 Olea Court in Gilroy. It'll be a very short shoot. Sierra, the actress, is gonna wear a pregnant outfit. I have this, it's basically a suit that you wear, and it's silicone, and it has like a protruding belly button and everything if you, but we'll have her wear that, so she clearly looks pregnant. And the scene is, there's no dialogue. It's simply she's pulling clothes out of the washing machine and putting them in the dryer, and then suddenly she feels pain and then falls down. That's it. Simple, and yet it's important scenes. I mean, this is what leads to the idea that something could be going wrong with the pregnancy that they were both so excited about. So we're doing that on the 9th. We might be able to do more than that if you want to, because the art show has now been postponed. The problem is we can't do much with Cameron if he's, because of his facial hair, so we could do the bathroom scene.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We might be able to do the doctor scenes, because that doesn't include Cameron, so you can see that the schedule's in flux. But if we can schedule it, we want to shoot next Friday. We want to get going. Anytime we're not shooting, it's wasted time, in my opinion. So there are a lot of people want to direct and exciting stories, and so we want to get going. But Jason and I are going to be working on this, and one of the things that you need to do is you need to watch the announcements, and keep checking the production schedule, because I will, every time I get a change, I update. So you'll always know what we know is the most current schedule for production. So we are starting next Friday, and we just don't know how much we're going to shoot and when we can get over to the beach scene. My goal is to shoot the beach scenes on Saturday of next week. It's a long ways away, so we're not expecting many of you to come. But we would like to have, at least a small team. It's at Sunset Beach. Technically it's Watsonville address, but it's on the coast. And I have a home, so there's parking there. We have to walk down a long path and downstairs to get to the beach, but we do have beach access. And if the weather holds out, it will be spectacular.
Yep.
We want to shoot 2 scenes. There's the sad scene with I miss mommy. During the middle of the day, we're going to release Everly, let her play her games and get her treat. And then we're going to shoot the more romantic sunset scene if the sunset, and if we don't, if it's going to be raining or it's completely overcast or not appropriate, we might then back up that scene to the 17th, and now we're going to have to re-scramble and rethink scheduling. So, anyways, any questions for Jason on Unforeseen, our first project? Yeah.
What are we gonna do if it's overcast on both days?
CGI.
Yeah. It would really depend, because it would be really good if it's not overcast, but
if it's overcast during the day with Everly, I don't think that, in fact, in some ways it might even be better. A gloomy mood.
Because I could tint that yellow too. Because if we're gonna shoot at about 3 o'clock ish, that could be a relatively yellow time.
Yeah, so as long as it's not rainy or super windy, I think we can do the day scene. I really think that you want a sunset for the romantic part.
Yeah, definitely.
So if we have to, we'll reschedule it. The problem is that it might need to be the 3, 4, 5 people who can go over the 2 actors plus a handful of people to get the shots that we need. So this is the problem with scheduling, especially when you shoot things outside. you're subject to, problems. Shooting a TV studio, we can take as long as we want, we can move things, we don't have to worry about sound. My house is a little bit like the set, I don't have sound issues. Occasionally there are gardeners who have their blowers going, but that doesn't last for very long, and we have space. But it's a house, and so if you have, you need a bedroom or a bathroom or a kitchen or a dining room or something, we're good to go, but you start going outside and there can be issues. So I talked around your question. I didn't really answer it. Hope you didn't send us any bad juju or whatever.
Jesus, come on.
I'm hoping that we get the appropriate weather. The ideal thing is next Saturday. It is a beautiful day and we're able to shoot both scenes without problems. And get the look that Jason wants. If not, we have to make some adjustments. And what I'm worried about is that it will affect other projects moving forward, so. The nice thing is that we can do it on Saturdays, and most productions will happen on Fridays, so. If we have to push, my biggest issue is, will
Cameron's
the
good.
actor, his facial hair, at some point, he's gonna have to shave,
Yeah.
and we might have to have Sophie, who does our hair and makeup. And she's an amazing director and writer and cinematographer and other things, but she is an expert at, movie makeup. She can add a beard and I just think the real thing looks better than applied, facial hair.
Definitely. We'll just do it post, I'll just do a CGI build of the beard.
And put dots on it. Any other questions about unforeseen? Okay. Very different than a lot of the other projects, not only that Jason's done, that we've done in a while. It reminds me of another film in some way. It was kind of a music video, and I can show it to you. We have ways of watching things, but it was a film called Goodbye. That is a real tearjerker and won a ton of awards. Won the best music video in the state of California the year that it was made.
Really?
So, we shot it here, and my wife played a doctor giving cancer bad news. So, by the way, I played a doctor delivering a baby. And Geronimo and Tim made fun of me and put it in picture up, and it was our screensaver for that computer. And it started first, suddenly I was there in a doctor's scrubs. And then suddenly the woman's feet are up in the stirrups and everything. And then Geronimo had a baby Yoda coming out of her loins, and then it became more and more graphic and bizarre. And every time you turn on the computer, you'd see that image. So I apologize for Geronimo and Tim's sense of humor. Okay, the next thing on the list doesn't need to be the next project that we shoot, but we have a screenplay that's done, and I like the screenplay, and I love the fact that it's one location. It is a script called Cupid's Arrow. We've already have 2 of the 3 parts cast. It's the 2 men in it. I can briefly go through, by the way, Unforeseen and Cupid's Arrow, those are screenplays that are on the class page. They're in week 1 or 2, I think. So you can see the screenplays. But in Cupid's Arrow, there's a guy who's sitting on a park bench, and a man walks up to him, and they have this weird, I'm going to very abridged, very short, but he basically says something like, tell her, ask her to sit down. And he's, were you talking to me? And oh yeah, ask who, what? And so this guy basically, they have this long conversation trying to figure out what's going on, but it is, there, he's trying to give advice to this one, the guy who walks up is trying to give advice to the guy who's sitting on the park bench. And just as he's about to give advice to, bless you, to this woman, an actual woman walks up and she asks to sit, and she sits beside him, and she can't see the second man. And he's still talking to the first guy, and essentially Cupid's arrow, it's Cupid trying to give him advice on how to have the two of them connect. And so it's this situation on a park bench, and it leaves with a very romantic, uplifting possibility of them being together. So it's a sweet script. Cupid is a smoker. He's more than brash. I think he swears a bit. So he's not the sweet little chubby baby. This is a very different type of Cupid, but it's a clever script. It's one location, and it's an opportunity for these three actors to really shine. So I would love to shoot that. We don't have a director. So if anyone wants to direct, I can show you the script. We can talk about it. But I would like for that to be one of our projects this semester. Since it's ready, I have it high up on the schedule or early on the schedule, but that doesn't mean that we need to shoot it there. If we don't have a director for it, we might wait a while. But that is one project I would like to shoot, especially because we have two of the three actors cast. It's a simple location. We probably get away with about 10 shots setups. So it would be kind of a simple scene to shoot as well. So I would love Cupid's arrow to be one of, hey guys, one of our projects. So by the way, does anyone say, hey, I want to read that script. I might be interested in directing. Okay. So let's talk afterwards. You can maybe co-direct if you both want to do it, or if one reads it and says, not my thing, or other one says, I love it, I really want to do it. Tim and I are eager to help you come up with a shot list and everything that you need to do to prepare, fill your crew, so you know who's going to be your DP and AD and all the different parts. Help you scout. We could do it here on campus, which makes it really easy. If there's a bench that works, or we could go maybe to Christmas Hill Park, and they have lots of areas in the shade, so we don't have to deal with sun. Whether it's a cloudy day or a sunny day, we wouldn't have to deal with it because so anyways, Tim and I will help you if one of you want to do it. So we'll talk more maybe at the end of class, and then after you read it, we can talk more. Okay, good. Tim is doing he's writing a screenplay, and again, we don't know where the order about this one, but Tim, do you want to pitch? Can you speak at work? No? Okay, so you're gonna have to just suck it up and deal with my poor explanation. It is a film noir meets sci-fi film. I imagine half of it being shot, or most of it being shot in black and white. Film noir, if you don't know that, it's a style of filmmaking. It comes from kind of the corrupt detective, like the Maltese Falcon or Double Indemnity, films like that, and almost always shot in black and white. More modern films like LA Confidential and The Usual Suspects are not, but that there's a style to it, very hard lighting and shadows. But anyways, there's a character who there are three characters. I'm trying to remember now. I'm kind of blanking a little bit. Essentially, a guy wakes up and first of all, there's a seductress, a woman in a very sexy dress who's trying to get him, I'm trying to remember what's the phrase? Femme fatale, he's a detective, but he's trying to convince her to tell her something. And so, and it was, what was the thing that it wasn't the pet's name, was it? Yeah, so essentially, he's in an office and wakes up, and there's this woman, and she's trying to get information out of him. And then another time he wakes up, and I'm butchering this, and Tim's gonna hate me, and but then he wakes up another time, and there's a gangster there, and he's beating him up, and he's trying to get information out of him, and one of the two are trying to get the pet's name, and I can't remember what the other one was, but it was maybe your first or home address, or I can't remember. But essentially, the gangster like beats him up, and he passes out and wakes up again. Well, and eventually, what it is the it's taking place in the future, and he's unconscious, and we see the same character with like wires going to his head, and they're trying to get his password out of him. So he's going back in time, and they're trying to pull his, password. Sometimes it's your first pet's name. And what are some of the other the
2, 3, 4, 5.
father's maiden name? So what was your mom's last name? Tell me. And then, beating him. And then the woman, so do you like animals? And so there's this, so this is happening in in a period piece, in a film noir, and then sci-fi. Then we see him hooked up, and there are people talking to him while he's unconscious and has wires in his head. So, hey, maybe he can speak. How much do you hate me now?
All right, you did okay job.
We're not hearing you. We're not hearing you.
All right, I'm working on it.
Yeah, Grant, you just said there was a.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, great. Yes.
Okay. All right. So basically, basically it's a film noir that you think's a film noir. It turns out to be in the future, a way that they're trying to steal his identity. So he is woken up, and thinks he's drunk at first. Then they ask, the femme fatale asks him a question. The second he answers it, he passes out again and wakes up the next day. He's more beat up. There's a gangster who has him tied up and is punching him to get a location. And then finally, the last one is really confusing because they're both, the femme fatale and the gangster, are working together to get his pet's name. And then we cut to outside in the real world, which is now in color in the future, and they have like geodes or wires coming out of his head, and they're trying to get into his like bank account information. So I'll have the script completed by next week.
So he's willing to direct it himself, but he's also willing to pass it on and help anyone who wants to direct this film. It's kind of cool because it's old school look, black and white,
Stylus, yeah.
and then futuristic look, and kind of cool to have very different cinematography and looks in your film. Some interesting characters, and it's always great, especially in short films, when there's a sudden realization at the end. Oh, wow. Oh, he's trying to get, and it's going to have that kind of reveal at the end. So if you want to direct and you don't have a script, I love the idea. The concept is fantastic.
I'm
Well,
also willing to adjust according to the director. I can sit down with the director. We don't, we can change some elements of dialogue, but that's basically the idea.
yeah. If no one does it, this might be one of the first scripts that we shoot, just so that we can have you on set, seeing different types of films, and you're seeing, experienced director in action. So if no one says, "Oh, I would love to do that," then we might have Tim do this. This might be our second film, for example, and shoot it right away, and you can then watch Tim do his thing. So let me know. Is there anyone who says, "Oh man, I would love to direct that"? Okay, so let's talk to Tim, and we'll see if the timing works and all of that. I think it's something that we can shoot in one day, right?
Oh yeah, and I think we can shoot it all in the TV studio.
Yeah, so which is ideal. It's just a set change. I might imagine that he's behind a desk. That I can't tell you how many times a detective is in the office, and we can have light streaming through the light and have
Yeah.
the divided light, and then that we can remove all the props, and he could be on a table in this room with very kind of harsh lighting. And now this is the future, and then I mean, it could be a very cool
Mhm.
project. So if you want, we'll are you in Tim's editing class? Yeah, okay. So talk to him about it on Monday.
Who's
Kellen.
this?
Kellen.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So that's likely to be our second project, because we have the flexibility and such. And there's another project that I briefly told you about last time. David Butterfield is flexible on dates, but he's going to do the project that I mentioned, where it's a homeless woman approaches this man on a park bench. He's in a very fancy suit and has a nice laptop and a briefcase, and his hair's all done perfectly and clean shaven, proper, and she's going to come up and ask him for some food or money, and he's extremely rude to her. Just get out of here, you stink, or whatever. And then we see her move on. It's her story, so we see her at first kind of walking, and then he's there and has that mean altercation, and then she was gonna then have some good luck. And at first he thought she would win the lottery, and I thought, now it's kind of fantastical. I mean, what are the odds that someone win the lottery? Just what about if she gets a job and she kind of starts to get her life together, and we see her not only working, but then afterwards, where now she's going to have crazy hair and be dirty and have very dirty poor clothes, and then suddenly she's more put together with her hair done and clean and nicer outfit, and she's a kind-hearted person. So she's now that she's back on her feet, she wants to help some of the people who were in her situation. So she's got bags of food, and she's coming to her old stomping grounds and trying to give food to people. And she comes across the same man who had treated her so badly before. And instead of getting even, he's hoping to that she is even kinder. She gives him a hug and gives him some food, and he realizes who it is and what he's done. And so it's a bit of a tearjerker. So that's what he wants to do. His working title is No Words. I think he thought his first idea was a silent film. And so I think that it's going to have very little dialogue. And if there's any dialogue, it will be just him being rude. Most of it is It's a very visual film, driven mainly by the musical score. So that's a film that we're likely to shoot this semester. I have a screenplay from Cut and Dried by Ava, and then I have a few other people who have ideas and want to pitch them. Marty, do you want to pitch something, Ed, or something? Marty is going to go right near the end of the semester. She's already has 2 films in the showcase, and so she doesn't get any of the prime slots in the beginning for those people who want to work their butts off and not only shoot their film, but edit and have it ready by April 15th so they can get it in the showcase. She's going to go near the end of the semester, as is Sophie, who was supposed to be here today, and maybe she'll show up, but and pitch her idea. But we'll hear about those either later today or in future classes. So I really want to hear Ava's, David's, and anyone else, and Ariel's ideas, and then others who have things that they want to pitch. So Ava has a completed screenplay, so you want to talk about? Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to explain this as simple as possible. I mean, it's a really simple story anyway. It's about, wow. It's about 2 like ex-best friends, and it's the like spring semester before they go off to college, and they haven't talked in a while, but they decided to just meet up for like coffee or lunch or whatever to just catch up because it's been so long. And it's mainly a dialogue-based film. And it's kind of, they have a sort of long conversation. I think it's like 7 or 8 pages long, but it's interesting because it shows their flaws and how different they are. And it also kind of winks at their past, but is also focused on the present. And there's also like a realization where they're both so different, it could never be the same as it used to be when they were younger and they were best friends. And then it basically just ends with them having to go separate ways. And even if it hurts them that they have to go separate ways, they know it won't be the same. So, and then I chose the title Cut and Dried because like flowers, they need to be cut and dried to be preserved. So it's like a metaphor that some relationships have to be cut and dried to be preserved in the past, and you got to move on from the old things but still cherish the old things as well.
Have you seen Before Sunrise or Before Sunset?
It's been on my list for so long.
You told me that.
I need to watch
Dude.
all of them. I need to watch all of them.
Love the films, and it's 2 people talking. The whole movie, it's a feature-length film, and so it's not just one location like yours will be in a short. The Before Sunrise, these 2 people meet on a train, and they have a conversation, like each other enough to decide to get off the train and spend the night together in this European city. And I don't mean like go to a hotel room and spend the night together. They're just going to spend time talking with one another. The whole movie's them talking about the philosophies of life and their experiences, and they fall in love with one another in less than 24 hours. And we, the audience, fall in love with them. And I'm not going to tell you the stuff that will be spoilers. But it's a great film. Very, very famous. They did the film 9 years later. They did a sequel, and it's Before Sunset. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I really connect with it and the characters at that time in their lives. And then there was a third one 9 years later. They did Before Midnight. So I highly recommend them. It sounds a lot like your film.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a day. those three have been on my list for so long, and I need to just have a full day of watching them back to back.
Just start with one and see.
I need to feel the connection with all of them at the same time.
They waited 9 years. It was- About your project, cut and dry, by the way, I love titles, I think that, titles are important to, especially in shorts, to
Mhm.
say something, and I love that. I love that it's two people talking, and there are gonna be some, guys that are, dude, I want fight scenes, I want action and stuff. We gotta have a variety, and I love that you're doing that. I don't think I caught what you said at the beginning. Where are they having this conversation?
Like either at a coffee shop or just a cafe, just anywhere.
Oh, okay, now Ava shot a film last semester and we shot it at a coffee shop. Not as easy as you think. No coffee shop is going to let you use their place for free. They'll let you, some of them, if they're very kind, they'll let you shoot there when they're open. But now you're having to deal with coffee shops, and cafes are really noisy. There's refrigeration and noises for making coffee and customers coming in and out and all of that. So it can be not a great film that has a lot of dialogue, not a good location for a film that has a lot of, now, it seems like a perfect place, a very, obvious place where two people would sit and have this conversation. Just know that it's gonna be tough to find, and if it's a 7-page screenplay with dialogue, that is a lot. I mean, to get coverage, to make it visually interesting. And Before Sunrise and Before Sunset, they stop and talk at places, but they get up and they're walking a lot. So there is gigantic amount of scenes with a steady cam, where the two characters are walking and talking and looking, and the camera shows us what they're looking, and it's very, very, very brilliantly choreographed to make it seem so natural, like you're a third person eavesdropping on their conversation. How do you do that in a coffee shop, and get coverage when, there's only so much space you can show, and maybe have an establishing shot and then limit it to, a 2-shot, the OTSs and mediums, and then you can punch in for close-ups because we'll shoot on the red, but yeah.
Did you watch that movie Past Lives?
Oh my God, yeah.
There's like, did you see it, Grant?
Of course.
When they're like, they meet, I think it's Central Park or somewhere, they're walking and talking.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. Like, I'm pretty open to wherever they're talking because I feel like
So
it doesn't matter
what
so
might
much.
be kind of nice is they meet in the coffee shop, get a cup of coffee, and they said, hey, do you want to just go for a walk?
Mhm.
And then you can have them walking and doing a lot of it. And what is really kind of interesting that you can do is we can do Steadicam. And what we can do is do the take twice. Once from in front of them, the camera moving backwards, and then once from behind them. So when you're someone that messes up a line, or they're hesitating, or you don't like their performance or whatever, you can cut behind where you can cut out bad stuff. Or you like the best take on this one, or you this part of this one and this part of this take, and now you have something to cut to. And then a few cutaways, a car or a dog or other walkers or whatever, kind of strategically place a few things so that you can make changes. The other thing too is the two actors are gonna have to be off book if you do long takes,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of wanted that as well. Like, I want them to have met before and like talked before to get a better connection. And I also, on one of the characters, I did want to bring this up. Her grammar is not the best. And I did that on purpose to show the difference in maturity that they have. And I also really like the walking. I'll figure it out later. I'll just write it out later because it's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Good, good. So we can dolly, if it's, they're not long. So one of the things that are really good, if you use a longer lens and they're not going a long distance, you can dolly backwards and very, very smooth. But if you want to go in places where there's, they're stepping off curves or going around, then we can just steady cam or do a combination of the two. But
Yeah, probably.
I think it's more visually interesting. I
Mhm.
think meeting in a coffee shop, getting a cup of coffee and then starting their walk might be an interesting way. And then you have the same conversation that you've already written just as they're walking.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
So then you have to scout good locations,
Yeah.
things that are not too noisy, places where we're not gonna get hassled by the police, damn cops. I might have to pull a permit, if we're in some very public place. If there's too many people, that can be an issue. People will turn and look at cameras, people will say, hey, you can't, they'll talk. There'll be people driving by and scream or whatever, and it can ruin takes. So, a more, secluded place might be better.
Yeah.
So, all things to think about, but I like it. I think it's great. Are you okay with me putting your screenplay on the, you wanna
Uh,
make some changes?
I'm gonna
first?
make changes first and then I'll send it to you later.
Okay, I can give you some notes too.
Okay, thanks.
I only read the first page, I've been so busy, but
Yeah.
I'll finish reading and give you some notes, and then I will upload it to the class page, as soon as, it's, you feel it's ready. How soon, how much time, do you wanna be one of the early films?
I could even, I would say this,
You said the 22nd, but do you wanna keep it then, you wanna move it up?
I could keep it then, but I could also, I'd rather stick to after March.
So,
But I can't do March 8th, because that's whenever I'll be out of town.
okay,
So I could even do like,
so you wanna do first or 22nd? Or 5th,
5th?
15th, I'm sorry.
I think the 15th would be best, because I'll be able to edit it pretty quickly and get it in before like April 15th to submit it.
Okay. We're gonna shoot for the March 15th for that one. And you and I should go on to some scouting trips.
Yeah.
One of the things I love so much about last semester's film is we shot in that, we started in the cafe, but we went into that store,
Yeah, the antique shop.
antique shop. We were downtown and we found some really kind of interesting places, and visually it looked really, really cool. So, movement, was really nice.
Mhm.
Great, thank you for the pitch. Do you have you thought more about yours?
Yeah, I don't have a script or like screenplay, or anything,
Doesn't matter.
but I like wrote out like an outline. Basically it's about it's like a horror film, like kind of found footage. And there's gonna be 4 characters, so there's gonna be like the tour guide friend, very outdoorsy, knowledgeable, responsible. There's gonna be more of like a phone addicted girl, likes the outdoors.
Do you mind if I interrupt you?
Yeah.
There were some people who weren't here yet
Oh,
today,
yeah.
so can you start with the overall concept?
Okay, overall concept is a group of friends go hiking and
We're planning on shooting it at Spring Lake Trails up Hecker Pass. They do have parking there, so it's easy access. And you said, the first thing you said is, I
Like,
want big redwood
yeah,
trees.
tall redwood trees. So that's the kind of vibe, like very foggy, very misty. And they talk about like a skinwalker, which if you don't know, it's mostly like to the Navajo tribe, but it's basically a type of like demon or witch that can transform into like other animals. Usually it's like a deer. And they lure people like into the woods and I don't know, kill them, I guess. Yeah. And they can like often like imitate like voices of people you know too. Or they like scream or they say like help me and stuff like that. So the gist is like it's a found footage, so they're kind of like recording their trip as they go. And it switches from the perspective of them recording, and then also the perspective of the skinwalker kind of like watching them. So it cuts between yeah, between the two different perspectives. And the characters are the tour guide, who I said outdoorsy, knowledgeable, responsible. Phone addicted girl, she's gonna be the main person like recording. And very gullible. Then there's like the stupid friend who's always joking, never takes anything seriously, known for getting in trouble. And then I wanted there to also be like a normal friend. So she's kind of like kind of responsible, kind of messes around, but she's overall like the normal girl. So the beginning is like all the friends are like hiking along the path, joking around. And so often you can get like maps for trails, and there's gonna be like a bet between the tour guide friend and then the goofy friend. Yes.
When you say tour guide, it's
Well,
not
he's not an actual
just
tour guide.
some of the more experienced. type.
Yes, he's like the one that like is more like used to the outdoors. That's what I mean by that. So they make a bet that the tour guide friend can take them without the use of the map. So that's how they start getting kind of lost. And so it gets darker. And so they make a little fire. And that's when they like tell the story of the skinwalker. So they start scaring like the gullible friend. And the stupid friend like goes out into the woods, like acts like he was taken, but then he comes back and like it's like, oh no, I'm here. But then as he comes back, he's like dragged away or like choked by something. So that's how he dies. And then they all start kind of like I feel like, I don't know, they just start dying in like a certain order, but I want the last shot to be like, I want the last death to be like the normal girl. So it's just gonna be like her head on the ground, like dead, like right next to the camera. And then you're just gonna see like the antlers peeking out and her body's gonna get dragged away and then boom, end of shot. So that's the end of it.
Awesome. Hey, can I tell you things that, possible red flags, things that make me
Yes.
nervous? The fire, you said.
Yeah, we
There
don't have
is-
to do that, but
There are campgrounds up there, so one of the things I think might be is to start, in other words, they've gone camping.
mhm.
And they're sitting around a fire, hey, let's go for a hike. And the conversation starts at a campfire, and then they walk from there. That might be a better way to go. Because there's no way we can start a campfire in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The rangers would crucify us if they caught us. Even if it's raining, that would not be cool. But they do have fire pits, fireplaces where you can have, and so you could have the four of them sitting around and talking. There's some of your dialogue. And it might be a nice way to start. They start at the campfire and then they go.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, I don't want it to be like too much dialogue. I want there to be like a lot of quiet shots, like to build suspense.
Yeah, well, I that's why
Yeah.
it could be basically, you know, let's go for a hike. This fire's nice and warm. Oh, come on, let's just go. It's beautiful out there. Let's just, move around. And then they go for a hike and that's it. And then it can be just, whatever you have imagined.
Okay.
Starting a fire on the ground is not something we're gonna be able to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
But they do have places where you can have a fire, benches where you could have some of that. So the four of them have gone camping and now they're gonna hike from there out into the wilderness.
Okay. Yeah, that's the idea. I need to write it though.
I've seen some, reactions already. Some there people were a little creeped out by it.
That's the point.
I love the found footage element, and I also love the POV from the Skinwalker, too. One of the things you have to decide is how much you're gonna show of the monster, the Skinwalker. You show too much and it ruins it. and yet you want enough to scare people, and people wanna see, so there's that fine line, what are you gonna show? I saw a film recently that had a character that had horns, and I really thought it was a joke. And it did not have the reaction that the filmmakers, I think, wanted. So you have to be almost seeing less, is more. One of my favorite films is Jaws.
Okay.
And I know it's old, 1975. And they had mechanical problems, and so they ended up not showing the shark as much as they originally intended, and it was way better.
Alien did the exact same thing. You only see it for like 14 or 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, so what you don't see can be good, but I like movies like, if we've seen the movie Signs, when you see the aliens step out and it's only a glimpse of it, it's freaky. At one point you see the legs step out of frame into the corn, and it's, I mean, just a little bit of something, so showing a hand, showing a leg, showing, you know, a little bit of something to know it's there. Then there's the POV. Now it's stalking them. You know, you see it like behind a tree and slightly move around to see them coming and then move back.
Glowing eyeballs that move in
Well,
frame.
My thing is I want it to be like kind of like still shots, so like the audience doesn't know that something's watching them yet. It just like switches, but then all of a sudden they like, it starts moving or something, or they start hearing noise and then they look back. And then that's how you show that something's watching them.
Yeah, I love that. And I hate to keep going back to other movies, but have any of you seen First Blood?
Rambo?
With Rambo?
Yeah.
There are a couple times, totally freaky, the people would walk by and you don't see him and suddenly he moves and oh God, he was there the whole time. Something like that would be really cool. Have
Yeah.
one or two of those where they don't see it at all, and then at the very end of the shot, you see it like move out of the
Yeah.
frame. Fantastic, I love that idea. So
Yeah.
all potentially creepy stuff.
Yeah.
You do, if whatever you're gonna show, you have to plan.
Mhm.
If you're gonna show a foot or a hand or a, you know, the close-up of the eyes or something, we have to plan that. We might wanna get Sophie involved, make sure that hair and makeup or props. I'm okay with buying a foot or something that, you know what I mean, like an alien, something, that looks abnormal, weird, scary. So, but we have to plan that stuff, it can't be a last minute thing.
Okay.
But I love the idea, found footage, awesome. Point POV shots, love it. So, the shooting in that, I've always wanted to shoot there.
Mhm.
I love the idea.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look into if we need permission or not, if we're gonna just hope that no rangers come by us. I think, I mean, people film there on their phones all the time, so I think it might be okay, but I'll look into it. Yeah, cool idea. I think that we need to wait a little bit.
Yeah, cause you guys are talking about like sometime in April for like weather to get better.
Yeah, when it rains, first of all, if we schedule it for a day and it's raining, it's impossible. But quite frankly, it stays, has anyone been on Sprigg Lake trails?
Where is that at?
If you go up Hecker Pass, it's only just as it starts, the hill starts, because the trails go all the way up to Mount Madonna summit, so it's a intense hike. With some very heavy switchbacks, but it's spectacularly beautiful.
I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about. Is it the first, turn off, like, as you went up the hill?
It,
The first little turn off?
yeah, there was the little bridge there, and there's a little road, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So that's where we want to park and then shoot.
Yeah.
So-
That's actually a nice spot.
Yeah, but the trails stay muddy for quite a while after a rain. So, and we do not want to be filming when it's muddy. And we gotta at some point set equipment down and, so we have to be aware of that. So I think out of the rainy season is smart. So it gives us time
Yeah, I'm
to
okay with
prepare.
that too, 'cause I do.
Yeah. So we can talk about casting and all of that. But can we have a working title? What is your,
I honestly don't know yet.
and it's only working title. Anyone have any idea? I mean, Skinwalkers, maybe not even a bad one in itself, but does anyone have any?
Like, so I put Skinwalker, but like, is there like a lot of like Native American?
No, not really. It's kind of just like, I mean, he just told like a little story about it, like around the campfire, kind of cliche for that part.
Yeah,
You're never alone in the woods. Yeah.
or Off the Trails, good too. A little shorter, you're never alone in the. 6 words is a long title. I mean, I like it too. Off the Trails, a little punchier, catchier.
Good. I mean,
I like them both. But for a working title, let's go with just Off the Trail. If that's okay. And then as you write your script, you can tell me what your real title will be. But I love it. I think it's a really cool idea. Who else is going to pitch? David, what?
I can.
Okay, so there is no script written, and that's the issue here. So I'll kind of go, I have like 4 possibilities, but only 2 of them are more developed. So I'll start with the one that I would like to do with a couple caveats. This, I think, would need to be heavily, there should be music involved in this one. And it would require a child actor, which I don't know how hard that is to do.
Really hard.
Yeah, I thought so.
So
Also,
now, so David, when you see child actor, that's a couple months to 18. How?
okay, so around Everly's age, like 6 would be the oldest. I
You know
know,
the bribery that's involved.
I know,
in
I do,
getting her to
I
say
do.
2 lines.
I know. So, but it would be the one I'd be most excited about making. Although I also feel like I've seen this before, so I may be straight up stealing this idea. So that's my caveats. I want to work on visual storytelling, so there really wouldn't be dialogue, but it is all about this little girl. So it's called Runaway. And you first see like a bedroom, a kid's bedroom, and then you kind of hear the footsteps, the little girl running. She closes the door, she's angry, she's like, she'd been crying. So basically she's in trouble and she was sent to her room. So she sits there, she's sad, but she's angry. And so she decides she's gonna run away. So she gets her suitcase out, she picks it up, she's looking around. She actually, I think she just takes her backpack at first, but the idea is as it progresses, she gets more and more stuff. She wants more and more stuff. She's about to leave, she looks at her bed longingly. And then so she goes over to the bed, tries to pull the mattress off. She realizes she can't bring that with her, so she gets her pillow. Finds a sleeping bag. She looks around, she wants her favorite toy, her favorite something. So by the time she goes out of her room, she's got this big old thing. She sneaks downstairs, she's about to go out, she's like, kind of rubs her stomach like she's hungry. So she goes in the kitchen, she makes a sandwich. She goes back to the door, she realizes she might want to cook sometime when she's gone. So then she gets pans and she gets a trash bag. So she's getting more and more stuff as she goes. So by then she's heavily lifting over. And there may be a couple other things that she might want to try to get. She opens the door, it's raining. She's like, oh shoot. So she closes it, goes to get an umbrella, try to find something else. So again, everything she's about to go and run away, she has more and more stuff. So by now she's loaded all this stuff. She opens the door, she walks out, she has her umbrella, she goes up and there's a gate with a really high lock. And she looks up and she tries to reach, tries to hit the umbrella, she can't get it. She's like frustrated. She drags all her stuff back inside, walks upstairs. Next shot, her parents are asleep. She goes in, she wakes up her mom, excuse me, mom, yes, honey, what's wrong? And she says, I'm trying to run away, but I can't get out. Could you open the gate for me? And that's the ending. I forgot that there's a letter, because there has to be a letter that she's writing, because we have to know what's going on to a certain extent. So she's angry when she decides she's gonna leave. She sits down mad, she starts writing, "Dear Mom and Dad." And then she's writing furiously. I want like a camera move this way, just while she's writing. And then you see little snippets of it, something like, something like, "I'm not appreciated, but in kids speak, but basically, I'm always in trouble and I don't deserve it, and I'm gonna run away." And then she stops, she finishes, she's breathing heavy, but then she goes back and writes and will say like, "P.S. I love you," or something like that. So that's the idea, but,
So can I tell you, first of all, I love the gathering more and more things. It reminds me of the jerk. of
Right,
Steve
so-
Martin.
right, the
Oh, it's the remote
Right.
control of this thermos. But I was listening to what you were saying about the girl, and she's definitely older than Evie, Tim's daughter, who's 6. She does not cook with a frying pan. She I don't know if Tim can vouch for this. I don't think she can write yet. Does she write? She could write a letter. I think maybe 8 or 9 might be a better
I was
age.
trying to think young enough who wouldn't realize what she's doing, asking her parents to help her run away. And then even the cooking is more idealistic, right? Oh, my parents use pans, so I should pull a pan.
Yeah.
The writing, I don't remember how old you write. I should, I have 3 children.
But I think that being able to not open the door, it has to be very young. So you kind of
Right.
think.
Not the door, but that's why I said a gate. So
The
the door
gate
she can
or-
open, but the gate's really high. Cause some gates have those big locks that don't all have the adult has to
Yeah.
open it up. So anyway, that's.
I don't know where you would film, but I'll tell you one bit of advice that a lot of filmmakers, say is never shoot with pets or with, kids, because they're the most difficult. They can just be in a bad mood or don't feel like doing things, and, when you have a whole crew and everything ready, if you find the right, kid who's really excited about it and is very much into it. So if you want to do that one, it sounds funny and terrific. I love having a variety of ages of the actors, so I would love to do that if you found the right
Right.
actor. And I think that you should go looking for that person and kind of shape it to him or her. Because if you find, a little coaches thing, who loves attention and wants to be on camera and has a longer attention span, then this could be a fantastic film. And I would think that it would be a great class project. But finding that person, with our
It's hard.
limited area,
Right,
if we lived in LA where there's a ton of kids who want to get their break, you'd have them lining up, but here you're gonna do you know somebody or?
No,
Yeah, so,
just an idea.
it's a good idea, but that's a big hurdle.
Right.
So I almost feel like if you want to continue, I would start the search now.
Okay.
And if you find somebody, then write your screenplay. So I don't mean to.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, just.
Second one, so, and the other one that is more visual driven, so a lot less dialogue, would be a romance movie. I'd call it Post. And basically it's a young man who has occasion to go to the post office every week. So he's gone to hand in a physical letter, but he sees some postal worker who he thinks is beautiful. And the guy next to her, so I don't know if we'd be able to film at a post office, but that would be my idea. The guy next to her says it's his turn, but he doesn't want to, he wants to meet this young lady. But basically this all has to be visual, like no dialogue here, but he's basically trying to, "Hi, my name is whoever," she's not interested. Keeps coming back week by week, but slowly she sees his kindness to other people, and basically the idea at the end is she agrees to go on a date with him. So just a real quick romance plot kind of thing. The difficulty would be, there'd be a lot of clothing changes because it would be the passage of time. So that'd be a lot of outfits if I really do this the way I was thinking.
Which is not an issue at all.
Okay. But that would be another, just kind of a meet cute, short. I don't know, do you want
Again,
another two that aren't developed yet?
Again, what I think we should do is
Right.
go to the post office and see if they would
Right.
allow us to film there. We would, to make it seem authentic, we'd have to have the person behind the counter.
Yep, I know,
And every time I've been to the Gilroy post office, there's a line.
right.
And I'm not sure if they're gonna be okay with us having a camera crew and lighting and things like that in there. So again, really cool idea, and if we had the type of budget where we can say, here, here's the $10,000, we could get the use of the post office on a Sunday when they're closed or whatever, but, maybe the best thing to do is go talk to somebody and I'll go with you if it helps. But just say, hey, you know, Gatlin College film program, we have this great story about a post office and, you know. So we want to help the reputation. We're gonna make this, the postal worker is really sweet and beautiful and kind. It makes the post office look great and, pitch it that way.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so, I have two more, but they're not really developed much. So I
Okay.
don't know if you want the
Well-
germ of the idea.
Let's wait, the
Okay.
ones that you're more developed. I think both of those are yes, if,
Right.
or yes, when you find that child, when you get permission to shoot in the post office, then let's rush and get the screenplay done and start making it happen. So let's talk more about those two. I love them both. If we can solve the problem.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Who's else wants to pitch? Is there anyone I'm skipping? What? Oh, yes.
So I have kind of like a suspense horror. I said it yesterday, but I'll give another brief. It's basically a man being quote unquote haunted by a ghost, but I also want to interpret the movie into the ghost being a metaphor for grief, because basically a person no longer has their significant other, whether that person left them or died is up to interpretation. I want to sprinkle like hints or ideas of what happened. And I want to have scenes where it's just like a very suspenseful, I guess a suspenseful scene where I have one idea of where he's ready to go to sleep, walking away from the living room. There's a hallway, turns off the light, and in the corner, you see like a shadowy figure. And then he turns back the light, the figure's gone, turns it back off. He still sees the figure, and he's kind of hesitant to walk in that direction because he sees a figure. And basically, it's just, you see the quote unquote ghost, because I kind of want to lean into both sides of this ghost is an actual ghost that's haunting the person, or this quote unquote ghost is a metaphor for that person, the main character missing that person in their life.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something, and I don't want to project my ideas on your project, but it could be something like he's grieving from the loss of his partner. Who is it who died?
Their partner, you know.
So their partner.
Yeah.
So holding a picture, tears, you know, maybe wearing the clothes coming home from the funeral or something. But clearly they're mourning.
Yeah, because also forgot to mention, I want it to be as little dialogue as possible. I have an
Well,
idea.
he's alone in
Yeah, he's alone. Because the other scenes I see him with or her, it doesn't really matter if it's a girl or boy.
Yeah.
They go to therapy, and the first session when the therapist, like, I actually like kind of think this place would be perfect. When he's the therapist is talking, but like there's just ambient music playing, and the camera's just what's the word? Zooming in into the person's face, and all you hear is ringing because you can, the person's just dissociating, you know, because they're still grieving or whatever, and this is their first therapy session, so they're not quite comfortable speaking. And then I want it for another therapy session, you know, it's like later in the film, where the therapist is done speaking, and when it's the person's turn to speak, they open their mouth and just cut to the next scene. You don't get the chance to hear the person until, because I have a vision where towards the very end of the film, I want the person at the gravesite of their significant other, and I want them to like speak for the first time in the film of like basically saying like, I miss you and all this stuff.
So what's gonna be your conclusion? That is.
Yeah, there's not like a definitive conclusion. It's just more like at that scene where he's talking and it just kind of ends. You don't really see him.
So one of the things that I feel like that has to happen in short films is there has to be closure.
Mm-hmm.
Someone dies, someone falls in love, someone decides that they're not gonna be with the person anymore or whatever. It sounds a little open-ended. It almost feel like the person figures out that the ghost is their lost person, and then they finally have the conversation, you know, I miss you, or whatever that is, so that the audience feels closure. The open-ended stuff, I've seen a million of films that when people are, what happened? What's going on? What, you know, you don't want that to be the reaction. You want the reaction, wow, I didn't see that coming, or a big laugh, or people, you know. So the only thing that I heard in yours that I thought was, you might need to put a little thought into it, is how you're gonna end it.
Mm-hmm. That's funny because I actually like endings like that.
Well, I
Yeah.
like them too, as long as it, so I love the film Sideways. You've seen Paul Giamatti. I just watched him on the Holdovers last night.
Oh, so good.
But
So good.
the Holdovers?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the very end, he's in love with this woman, and she basically found out that he was lying to cover up for a friend. And he goes up, at the end, he decides that he's gonna try to win her back, and he walks up and he knocks on her door, and then the movie cuts. And a lot of people are like, wait, what, did she open the door, or is she gonna take him back, or whatever? I love that type of ending too. In a short though, you gotta feel like that ends. For me, I'm a positive person, and I imagine her opening the door and them reconciling and getting back together. Other people will see a different ending, but clearly that's the end. So you need to have there's gotta be a beginning, a middle, and an end to your film. And it doesn't mean that people have to figure it out or not, but yeah.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Yeah.
So you want this person to be haunted by a figure that could be a representation of their grief.
Yeah.
So in the therapy scene, when they're at home, after the funeral and the clothes, like they're moving throughout their apartment and they keep seeing this figure, or the figure keeps showing up on camera. And each time it gets clearer and clearer and clearer, their representation of grief gets clearer and clearer and clearer. Until at the very end, when the person's at their gravestone and they're talking, saying, I miss you. There's so many things I wish I could say. I love you so much. I want you to be here still. They're talking to their partner who is finally fully clear and realized, because they know what their grief is and what is actually haunting them.
Love it.
Yeah. And that closes it, gives you a more clear ending, but still keeps your idea alive.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah. Love the idea. I think it would be great. We have to think about location. So it sounds like most of it is in the home, but you mentioned therapist scenes, and you mentioned the gravesite. So we've got.
Yeah, because I thought of how iffy that could be, like a gravesite. But also,
we filmed in the Gilroy on First Street, the Gilroy Cemetery or, we filmed, wasn't sure they were gonna give us, permission, but we filmed, a film with ghosts talking to a young couple who are trying to find a place to be intimate. She doesn't want to be in the back of the car. He doesn't want to spend the money on a hotel, so they go to the cemetery. And that's what we filmed, I'm sorry. So we were in an actual cemetery and they're walking around the graves or whatever. And at one point, ghosts all move in on them and they're watching them. Now, we're not seeing it. They go down on a blanket and they're out of frame. There's a headstone blocking them. But there were 6 or 8 ghosts standing around them commenting on what they're doing. One of them was a little girl who died when she was really young. And one was a biker guy and just a variety of people. We filmed, and I sent the script to the people who keep and take care of the cemetery, and they said, okay. So we can film that. I'm sure we could do a quick scene with a person who's mourning in front of a gravestone, especially during the day. We went in at night and had to light it up and had, it was a big ordeal. So filming during the day, a quick scene would not be a problem. I can't imagine that. You're gonna.
I was just wondering, was that a comedy?
Yeah.
The one you get? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if people found it funny, but that was the attempt. So that's not a problem. I'm happy to film at my house if you like the idea of shooting some of the scenes at a home.
Yeah, because I definitely have ideas. I've definitely written down ideas for shots and scenes. I just need to figure out which order and how.
I particularly like the idea of he sees something and the lights are off and he flips on the lights and the image goes away and then he flips them off again. David, let's talk more.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's, I like that. And then we'll just think of some others or almost where you can feel. I saw a movie called, I think it was just Butterfly. I think it was Kevin Costner, and he had lost his partner, and he felt like she was in the room with him. And it wasn't a scary film as much as he was grieving, and it was a film where she was trying to get his attention. But there was, I think, a scene where he thought he saw her, he turned the light and he didn't, he turned it off, and again, it's super effective. But I like the film a lot. So I would start writing it, planning it, your shots, and
I'm actually going to take the script writing class too.
Oh, good, yeah. Tim, by the way, asked me to tell you that they changed the adding rules. They're having, if you're on a wait list, that goes until the end of week 1. Soon as week 1 ends, we get add codes and we can give them to you. So any class that you want, if you can't add because it says the class is closed, let us know. And it's the second we get them, and it might be the end of today or sometime over the weekend. Guaranteed it'll happen on Monday. We'll be able to give you an add code to any class you want for sure. Yeah. So love the idea, and I wanted to make that one of our films for sure. We now have to do all the steps to get it ready. Do you have an actor in mind to play the lead? You said a man or woman, so
Yeah, honestly, I just need somebody that can be just straight face, because I'm not going to be talking throughout film,
be able to act with expressions.
Yeah,
Scared, sad,
just
bad. Yeah.
lonely,
Age? Are you thinking?
That's really mad.
So my great grandfather is an actor. Do you want? He's 98. You want? I'm just kidding. I mean, you got to have some kind of age range.
Yeah.
So think about that. We have lots of great actors in the class, and who are available. So when you start you progress, let us know. Is there anyone else wanted to pitch? Tim's been writing a lot. Yes.
The person that has the found footage, okay, I'm Noah, I'm the person that really.
She pitched already today, so let's trap her and ask her more questions. Just corner her and give her no, but we talked about it. I really like the idea. We're gonna wait until the rainy season is kind of over. So we're thinking maybe a little more April. We have the location. She's got time to start casting, because she wants 4 characters plus the creature, which I don't know if that will actually be a person or if it will be, I mean, you have to kind of figure that out. But that project's been greenlit. We're doing it. So yeah. Anyone else interested in directing or pitching? Okay, we do have a couple of screenplays that are open. And there's a couple, there are at least 3 projects on the list that weren't pitched today. Marty's, Sophie's, and I mentioned David Butterfield's.
Should be here soon.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, if those of you want to stick around and meet David. David is the homeless woman who has the very rude altercation with the person who then later becomes homeless himself, and that's David Butterfield's. It's gonna happen mostly outside. He has the idea of a park bench too, so there are already 2 park benches in the film, but he wants to have a place kind of industrial where there might be some, he might push for that because he lives in Hollister, but I was thinking just some alley or something, and we'd get a cardboard box and something like that. And then there's got to be, she gets a job, and so we've got to have, you know, something that where there's no real dialogue, but just clearly she's a changed person. She has a job and a place to live, and she's looks different, healthier, happier, cleaner. And so it's kind of a simple thing. He's trying to make you cry. So Jason and David are both doing the emotional stuff this year. So okay. Any genres that you would love to do? Anything that you think I would really like for us to make this type of film? Ashton, who was here yesterday but is not here today, really wants to do some kind of fight scene. And so since there are some open slots, we're probably going to try to make that happen, where we do some choreograph, some throwing and punching and all of that as well. So you get a variety of experiences. I am not okay with purely a action scene without some story. So I was trying to say, let's come up with something where it makes sense. The thing that made Tim laugh uncontrollably in class yesterday is we were talking about 2 guys waiting in a line for a bathroom, and each one thinks they're first in line, and they start fighting. And but what Tim thought was so funny is that because they have to go so badly, they're farting as they're fighting. See, even right now he's laughing. But anyways, that could be a fight scene. We could do some kind of chase scene or something, but some kind of action, punching, throwing, what? Oh, okay. Can't do two, so you gotta decide whether you wanna do Tim's time one or the fight scene. If done well, you can have action with another genre. So I think, you know, Tim's laughing like crazy because he imagines the farting as being a part of this and getting laughs out of it. So you could have, he was even kind of starting to act it out where, you know, they'd start to punch and, you know, oh, you know, kind of, you know, while they're trying to, well, hold it in. Yeah, thanks. So we could do something like that. He would love to write that. He was giddy yesterday. If anyone saw him, he got so excited about that. So if you want to do that one, then the other one's open. And maybe you could see Tim direct one, and then you can direct the other one. And then we have an action scene. We have some great places where there are lines for bathrooms, and we have people coming out. The thing that I thought would be so funny is the two of them are fighting, and they both have to go so badly. And then someone comes out and the next person in line skips in front of them and goes in. And now they both stop and like, hey, you know, so the fight stops because, you know, they've lost their turn. Yeah, right. It's that someone, that the person behind them in line is now in the bathroom, and that's more important to them. And there could be things like someone wets his pants and people are laughing or whatever. Tim loves Bart humor though, so I think that will be in the script. But anyways, you can have some really great fights stuff. I'm sure we could do that on campus. I think that would work really well. So I will tell Tim, if that's the one that you're excited about, we can make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any other genres or types of films that you want to do? Well, speak up. If you think of something, let us know. If you still want to direct, there might be a slot open. If you think of something, hey, I really want to do that. Now, one of the things that I want to do is use a variety of cinematic devices in our films. So for example, I want to have a drone shot in a film this semester, and maybe it's your, what's the working title? Off the Trail is our working title, where we have, you know, maybe the opening shot is the drone coming down a redwood tree and we can see the bark, and then we move in or something like that. We have jib and dolly Steadicam. We have a variety of, and I want to explore them all. So this semester that everyone gets an experience working with a dolly, with the Steadicam, with jibs and drones, etc., so that we all get that experience. So let's find ways to work it into the shots. So stuff like that as well. Any ideas, Marty, or? Okay. All right. Yes.
Can I do something like full-on comedy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Was it not last semester, but last spring, we did a full-on comedy called 5% Priest. Did you see that? Michaela wrote it, and she'd never directed before, and she said, kind of sheepishly, can I write and direct something? Yeah, absolutely. And so she wrote, and we actually filmed it in here. It all was here. It was an office. There were exteriors of the couple. There was a couple that they were engaged to get married, and they were gonna go get the priest's approval. And so they enter the church, and then they go down the hallway and they're talking a little bit, and then they knock on the door, and there's a priest. He's passed out, and there are beer bottles all over his desk, and they wake him up, and he's totally just drunk and has him.
I think I did see that one actually.
Yeah, that was her first movie ever. She wrote it and directed it, and we've got some really, really amazing actors to do it. And Michaela is very religious, so she was just having fun with the idea of someone that you in a position of power or authority, a priest, you know, not being so, and it was funny. So, and her goal was only to make you laugh. It was just what she wanted to do. So absolutely you can. Yeah. Not an easy thing to do, make comedies. Sometimes it's easy to get a laugh from another genre, but to do something that's purely comedy, a lot of times it has to be the actors. It's how, not everybody can do comedy. We have some people who are in our acting class, and when you say cry or do something intense, they can be amazing. Now be funny, and like we do ad-libbing, and there were some people who could jump in and do something funny time and time again, and then there were people who it was just awkward, or because it doesn't come for everybody. I'm always amazed when there are actors who start off as comedians. I'm thinking of like Tom Hanks or Robin Williams, who start up as stand-up comedians or comedic actors, and then they can do something that's very intense. But a lot of times people who can do things that are really intense or whatever can't be funny. So if you can find people who can do that, now you might have your building blocks for a potential story. So if you have a script that might work, we can do it as a class, or you absolutely can do your individual project as a comedy. So everyone loves to laugh. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, well, we're going to stop Zoom unless there's anyone who has any questions. Okay, bye, Tim, Cody, Abram, Julian. Thank you so much for joining.